In the heart of the Quran, certain verses stand out as both guidance and mystery. One such verse is the 87th verse of Surah Al-Hijr, revealed as a profound gift to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The verse reads, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَاكَ سَبْعًا مِنَ الْمَثَانِي وَالْقُرْآنَ الْعَظِيمِ. Translation. And we have certainly given you, O Muhammad, 7 of the oft-repeated verses and the great Quran. This verse is a promise and a declaration of 2 immense treasures, the 7 oft-repeated and the great Quran. It highlights a unique part of the Quran, inviting us to ask, what are these 7 verses and why are they so special? Scholars have pondered this for centuries, recognizing its central role in our worship. The verse is not just academic, it's a reminder of the spiritual wealth given to the Prophet and, by extension, to every believer. The 7 oft-repeated verses serve as a daily anchor, connecting us to God's mercy and guidance. As we explore further, we'll see how this single verse opens doors to spiritual wisdom and hidden patterns within the Quran. The Mathani theory, a simple guide to the Quran's hidden numbers. Imagine the Quran, the holy book of Islam, as a treasure map with numbers like 7, 19, and 1729 hidden in its pages. The Mathani theory says these numbers aren't random. They're part of a special design that makes the Quran even more amazing. Let's explore this idea in a way that's easy to understand, like solving a puzzle with numbers and faith. What's the Mathani theory all about? The Mathani theory suggests the Quran has a secret code made of numbers. These numbers, 7, 19, and 1729, show up in how the Quran's chapters, verses, and even special letters are arranged. The idea comes from a verse in the Quran, Surah Al-Hijr 1587, that talks about 7 of the oft-repeated and the great Quran. It's like God left a mathematical fingerprint to show how special the Quran is. Where did this idea come from? The Quran calls itself a book of Mathani, which means paired or repeated. Quran 1587, 39-23. In one verse, God tells Prophet Muhammad, "We have given you 7 of the oft-repeated verses and the great Quran." Many scholars say this points to Surah Al-Fatiha, a 7-verse chapter Muslims recite in every prayer. The Mathani theory takes this further, suggesting numbers like 7, 19, and 1729 are woven into the Quran's structure, like a hidden message. The 3 special numbers. Here's a look at the numbers that make the Mathani theory so exciting. Number 7. This number is tied to Surah Al-Fatiha, which has exactly 7 verses and is super important in Muslim prayers. The theory says 7 pops up in other places, like when you add up verses in certain chapters. Number 19. The Quran mentions 19 in Surah 74:30. It also shows up in cool ways, like the Quran having 114 chapters, 19 and 6, or the opening phrase, "In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful," having 19 letters. Even the word Allah appears 2698 times, which is 19 goodness 142. Number 1729. This number is famous in math because 13 plus 123 equals 93 plus 103, both making 1729. It's called the Hardy-Ramanujan number, and the theory says it connects to the Quran's verses and spiritual ideas, like the Night of Power. How do they find these numbers? The Mathani theory uses simple math to spot these patterns, like playing a number game. Counting verses. Add up the verses in some chapters, and you often get 7. For example, the first 3 chapters, Al-Fatiha, Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, have 7 plus 286 plus 200 plus equals 493 verses. Add the digits. 4 plus 9 plus 3 equals 16, then 1 plus 6 equals 7. Special letters. Some chapters start with mysterious letters like Alif, lam, mim. Each letter has a number value. Alif equals 1, lam equals 30, mim equals 40. Adding these up often leads to 7 or 19. Square numbers. Take two numbers, square them, and add them, like 22 plus 32 equals 4 plus 9 equals 13. Then, play with the result to find 7 or 1729. Page numbers. The pages of Surah Al-Hijr, pages 262 to 267, can be added or multiplied to make numbers like 777777, which is full of sevens. Night of Power. The Quran says the night of power is better than 1,000 months. Surah 97:3. The theory connects this to 1729 by saying 1,000 plus 729 equals 1729. Why is this cool? The Mathani theory is exciting for a few reasons. Spiritual wow. The number 7 reminds us of Al-Fatiha's role in prayer, while 19 and 1729 feel like God's special signature in the Quran. Math and faith. Together, it shows how numbers and belief can mix, making the Quran interesting for both Muslims and math lovers. Protecting the Quran. If these numbers are the same in every Quran copy, it could prove the book hasn't changed over time. Are there any problems? Not everyone agrees with the Mathani theory. Here's why some people aren't sure. Weird math. Some number tricks, like adding or subtracting specific numbers to get 7 or 1729, might feel like stretching the truth. Different verse counts. Some Quran copies count verses differently, like Al-Imran having 200 or 203 verses, which can mess up the patterns. Focus on words. Most scholars care more about the Quran's teachings and stories, not its numbers, so they might think this theory misses the point. What's next for the theory? There's still a lot to explore. Here's what could happen. Check other books. See if these number patterns only happen in the Quran, or if other books have them too. Team up. Get scholars and math experts to work together to make the theory stronger. Use computers. Let computers count verses and letters to find more patterns. Look at old copies. Study ancient Quran manuscripts to see if the verse counts match. Wrapping it up, the Mathani theory is like a fun puzzle that says the Quran hides numbers like 7, 19, and 1729 in its verses, chapters, and letters. Even if it's not perfect, it makes you think about how the Quran could be both a spiritual guide and a mathematical wonder. Whether you love faith, numbers, or both, it's a cool way to see the Quran in a new light. Concept paper. The Mathani theory. Unveiling numerical patterns in the Quran. Abstract. The Mathani theory posits that the Quran, Islam's holy book, contains a deliberate numerical structure, with the numbers 7, 19, and 1729 forming a mathematical framework that complements its spiritual message. Rooted in Surah Al-Hijr, 1587, which mentions Saban min al-Mathani, 7 of the Oft-Repeated, the theory connects these numbers to verse counts, makatat letters, and structural elements, suggesting a divine code. This paper outlines the theory's methodology, its alignment with traditional Tafsir, key examples and challenges, proposing it as a bridge between faith and mathematics. Introduction. The Quran describes itself as a book of Mathani, paired or oft-repeated statements, Quran 1587, 39-23, inviting exploration of its structure beyond its linguistic and spiritual dimensions. The Mathani theory hypothesizes that numbers like 7, 19, and 1729, the Hardy Ramanujan number, are embedded in the Quran's chapters, verses, and letters, forming a statistically improbable system that points to divine authorship. This concept paper explores the theory's framework, methodology, Quranic connections, significance, and limitations, emphasizing its potential to unite faith and reason. Quranic basis, Surah Al-Hijr, 1587. And we have given you 7 of the oft-repeated verses and the great Quran. And the one who has not yet attained knowledge is the one who has not yet attained knowledge. And translation. And we have certainly given you, O Muhammad, 7 of the often repeated verses and the great Quran. Tafsir, classical exegesis. Ibn Kathir al-Tabari identifies Sab'an min al-Mathani as Surah Al-Fatiha, with 7 verses recited repeatedly in prayers. Mathani, from thny to double, repeat, reflects repetition in worship or paired themes, e.g., praise and supplication. The Great Quran underscores the revelation's grandeur. The Mathani theory, core concepts. The Mathani theory posits that the Quran's structure embeds a numerical code, with 7, 19, and 1729 as key constants. These numbers connect to 26. Number 7 and Al-Fatiha. The verse's 7 words and Al-Fatiha's 7 verses symbolize divine perfection, reinforced by calculations yielding 7. 27. Number 19. Referenced in Surah 74:30, it appears in chapter counts 114, 19 but 6, Bismillah 19 letters, and word frequencies, e.g. Allah is 2698, X to 19 as 142. 28. Number 1729. The Hardy Ramanujan number 1 3 plus 12 3 x 9 3 plus 10 3 x 1729. Factors 19 cos 91 91 x 7 cos 13. Digit sum 19. Linked to verse counts and muqatta'at chapters. The theory uses 2 primary methods. Digital root, sum digits of a number, e.g., chapter verse counts, repeatedly to a single digit, often yielding 7 or 19. Sum of squares. For any 2 numbers, m and n, compute SEML2 plus N2. Then manipulate, e.g., factor, digit sum, add, subtract, to yield 7 or link to 1729. Methodology. The Mathani theory employs simple mathematical operations, addition, multiplication, division, digit sums, to uncover patterns. Verse counts. Some verses in specific surahs, e.g., verse 3, 7 plus 286 plus 200 equals 493, 4 plus 9 plus 3 equals 16, 1 plus 6 equals 7. Muqatta'at. Letters. Calculate numerical values. Etaji, Aleph, Mud 1, Lam 30, Mim 40. In 29 chapters. Etaji. Surah 7, 1 plus 30 plus 40 plus 90 equals 161. Surah 29, 1 plus 30 plus 40 equals 71. 161 plus 71 equals 232. 2 plus 3 plus 2 equals 7. Sum of squares. Example. M2, M3, 4 plus 9 equals 13. 1 plus 13. 1 plus 13 equals 14. 7 plus 7. Page. Sums. Surah Al-Hijr, pages 262 to 267. Sums to 1587, deriving 15873, word 3, Saban, and 15876, word 6, while Qur'ana, with 15873 times 7, while times 7 equals 777. Laylat al-Qadr, Surah 97:3, better than 1,000 months. Links to 10 al-3 plus 9 al-3 x 1000 plus 729 x 1729, symbolizing amplified rewards. Key examples. Verse counts. First 3 surahs, 7 plus 286 plus 200 x 493, 16, 7. Adjusted Al-Imran, 203, including Bismillah. 203 equals 7 times 29. First 9 surahs. Adjusted sum equals 1706 plus 23 equals 1729. Muqatta'at. Letters. Surah 7 plus 29 equals 161 plus 71 equals 232. 7. Chapter numbers. Sum of 1 to 114 equals 65 45. 21 equals 3 count 7. First, last chapters. Chapters 1, 10 equals 11 and 14. Verses 7 plus 6 equals 76. 11 14 plus 76 equals 1190. 7 equals 170. Bismillah. 19 letters. Word counts. Allah. 2698 equals 19 plus 142. Laylat al-Qadr. 1000 plus 729 is 1729. Reflecting Surah 97:3 significance. Significance. Spiritual alignment. The number 7 ties to Al-Fatiha's centrality, reinforcing divine perfection. The number 19, Surah 74:30 and 1729's factors, 19 and 91, suggest a unified system. Mathematical elegance. Patterns like 777 and 1729 times 1729 equals 2,992,091. Mirror natural designs suggesting a divine signature. Faith and reason. The theory bridges spirituality and mathematics, appealing to believers and skeptics by offering testable patterns. Textual preservation. Numerical consistency across manuscripts may safeguard the Quran's integrity. Challenges. Non-standard calculations. Values like Finfin 873, 15876, or sum of squares manipulations lack abjad system roots, e.g. Saban equal 133, appearing speculative. Flexible transformations. Operations, e.g. add 1, subtract 2. Risk confirmation bias. Patternicity. Textual variations. Adjusted counts, e.g. Al-Imran 200 versus 203, require justification across manuscript traditions. Scholarly disconnect. Traditional Tafsir prioritizes linguistics, spiritual exegesis. Numerical focus may distract from core teachings. Future directions. Rigorous testing. Compare patterns against control texts to confirm uniqueness. Collaboration. Engage Islamic scholars, mathematicians, and computational experts for credibility. Computational analysis. Leverage AI to systematically analyze verse-letter counts. Historical validation. Seek textual evidence for adjusted counts in early manuscripts. Conclusion. The Mathani theory unveils a potential numerical code in the Quran, centered on 7 Al-Fatiha, 19 Divine Sign, and 1729 Hadi Ramanujan number, with patterns in verse counts, Muqatta'at letters, and structural elements like Laylat al-Qadr's 1000 plus 729 Isls 1729. While aligned with Surah 1587's Tafsir, its flexible calculations invite scrutiny. The theory invites further research to validate its claims, offering a compelling lens to explore the Quran's mathematical and spiritual harmony. To understand Surah Al-Hijr, verse 87, we must look at its context. Revealed during the Meccan period, it came at a time of immense hardship for the Prophet and early Muslims. Amid persecution and loss, this verse offered divine consolation, reminding the Prophet that spiritual gifts outweigh any worldly loss. The treasures mentioned are not material, but everlasting. The 7 oft-repeated verses and the Great Quran. Placed among stories of creation, arrogance, and divine justice, this verse stands as reassurance and strength. It anchors the believer, offering hope and steadfastness in the face of adversity. For the early Muslims, it was a lifeline. For us, it's a reminder of what truly matters. In a world obsessed with material success, this verse calls us back to the true wealth of guidance and connection with Allah. The greatest gift is the Quran itself, especially the verses we repeat daily in prayer. For centuries, scholars have agreed that 7 of the oft-repeated refers to Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran. Hadith from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, directly identify Al-Fatiha as the 7 oft-repeated verses and the Great Quran. Its status is solidified by its role in every unit of prayer, making it the most recited chapter in Islam. Al-Fatiha is called Al-Mathani because it's recited repeatedly and contains both praise for Allah and supplication from the servant. This interpretation, rooted in the Sunnah, elevates Al-Fatiha as the spiritual core of our worship. Surah Al-Fatiha, composed of 7 verses, is the foundation of daily prayer and the essence of the Quranic message. Its recitation is obligatory in every unit of prayer, emphasizing its status as the oft-repeated. The surah begins with praise, affirms God's mercy, reminds us of the day of judgment, and declares our reliance on God. It ends with a plea for guidance, encapsulating the believer's relationship with the Creator. The structure of Al-Fatiha is a dialogue. Each verse is met with a divine response, making every recitation a personal conversation with Allah. Its repetition is not ritualistic, but a means to recenter our hearts and renew our commitment. Al-Fatiha is the perfect embodiment of the 7 oft-repeated, concise, comprehensive, and spiritually transformative. It is both a summary of faith and a complete prayer. Each recitation is a renewal of our purpose and dependence on God. This surah is the key to the entire Quran, a daily reminder of our connection to the divine. Its centrality in worship makes it the heart of the Quran's spiritual practice. The number 7 is woven throughout the Quran and Islamic tradition, symbolizing divine order and completeness. 7 heavens, 7 earths, and 7 gates of hell are just a few examples of its recurring presence. Rituals like circling the Kaaba and walking between Safa and Marwa during Hajj are performed 7 times, reinforcing its spiritual weight. Stories in the Quran, such as the 7 years of plenty and famine in the story of Yusuf, further highlight its significance. The repetition of 7 in worship and scripture points to a pattern of wholeness and perfection. When Allah specifies 7 oft-repeated verses, it's not just a number, it's a sign of completeness. Al-Fatiha, with its 7 verses, is a perfect, self-contained prayer. The number 7 becomes a subtle reminder of the Quran's divine design. Beyond traditional tafsir, some modern researchers explore the Quran through numerical analysis, known as the Mathani theory. This theory suggests the Quran contains intricate mathematical patterns, especially involving the number 7. The Mathani theory proposes that Mathani refers not only to repetition in recitation, but also to mathematical pairs and patterns. Proponents analyze letter, word, and verse counts, as well as abjad numerals, to uncover hidden relationships. Surah Al-Hijr, verse 87, is seen as the key to this numerical system, with its structure reflecting the number 7. The theory aims to supplement traditional understanding, offering a new perspective on the Quran's miraculous nature. It appeals to those seeking logical, mathematical evidence of divine authorship. The Mathani theory highlights striking numerical patterns in Surah Al-Hijr, verse 87. The verse contains 42 Arabic letters, a multiple of 7, directly linking its structure to its message. The 2 gifts mentioned in the verse each have 19 letters, creating perfect symmetry. 19 is another significant number in Quranic studies, associated with the guardians of hell. The theory connects this verse to Al-Fatiha, which has 7 verses, 29 words, and 139 letters. The sum of Al-Fatiha's verse numbers is 28, another multiple of 7. The number 1729, famous in mathematics, is found through complex calculations involving Al-Fatiha and this verse. Proponents argue that such patterns are too consistent to be coincidental. These findings are presented as a modern-day miracle, appealing to an age of data and computation. The Mathani theory suggests the Quran's structure is as miraculous as its message. Traditional Tafsir and modern numerical analysis offer two distinct paths to understanding the Quran. Tafsir, rooted in revelation and scholarship, provides spiritual guidance and law, identifying the 7 oft-repeated as Al-Fatiha. Numerical analysis treats the Quran as a dataset, seeking mathematical patterns as evidence of divine authorship. For Mathani theory proponents, the connection between Al-Fatiha and the number 7 is both spiritual and mathematical. Both approaches can complement each other, appealing to different aspects of faith and intellect. However, scholars caution against over-reliance on numerical patterns, as they can be complex and open to misinterpretation. The foundation of faith remains the Quran's clear message and spiritual power. Numerical analysis should be seen as an exploration, not a replacement for traditional wisdom. Both paths deepen our appreciation for the Quran's miraculous nature. Ultimately, the Quran's authority lies in its guidance, not hidden codes. Surah Al-Hijr, verse 87, reveals the Quran's incredible depth. The traditional view grounds us in daily worship, connecting us to centuries of scholarship and spirituality. Numerical theories invite us to marvel at the Quran's structure, offering a new dimension for reflection. Both perspectives enrich our relationship with the Quran. They are like two windows into the same magnificent palace, one showing its wisdom, the other its flawless design. Let us embrace the Quran in all its dimensions, reciting, reflecting, and exploring its endless wonders. Surah Al-Hijr, verse 87, is an invitation to cherish Al-Fatiha and the great Quran. Every path that deepens our reverence for this sacred text is a path worth taking.